The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are
Facebook. Facebook 2018. Today we're going to take a look at what you need to know about Facebook to use it well in 2018. My name is Lorraine Ball and I'm a marketing strategist. I own a company called Round Peg and we specialize in helping businesses use Facebook and other social media platforms. I'm going to be your host today. We're going to cover 4 basic areas. The basics, looking a little bit at etiquette and cover images, content types, really focusing on what some of your options are. We're going to talk about planning and metrics, and we're going to dive into advertising. Why do you need to care about Facebook? Well, let's look at some of the basics. Facebook is the social media platform. This is from their third quarter 2017 annual report. And you can see that they have, when you start adding the numbers, these are in millions. They have almost 2 billion active users every single month. Now, only about 239 million of those are here in the United States and in Canada, but that is still a significant percentage of our population. We've been using Facebook fairly actively and fairly consistently for the last few years. There's certainly some real growth in Asia and other international markets, but even if you're just a local butcher shop worried about your neighborhood, I can promise you your customers are on Facebook. Things to keep in mind if you're going to use Facebook for your business. This is a low volume, high value platform. What that means is you don't have to put a ton of stuff up. But if you want to get noticed and if you want to build a community, you've got to put up good quality content. How much time do you really need to be spending on Facebook once your page is set up? About 3 posts a week will do, and there are scheduling tools, even within Facebook, that will allow you to plan much of your content in advance. Maximum, I used to say about 10 times a week, but now, particularly if you've got events and a lot of things going on, you can put 2 and 3 status updates a day, as long as there's different, as long as there's variety and not the same advertisement. And it is about quality, not quantity. One good post a day that's interesting and shared by a wide audience is going to be way better than putting up 3 or 4 mediocre posts. As you're planning your content, there's a nice rule of thumb or a formula that you can use. With 50% of your content really being focused on getting likes, shares, and comments, entertaining, fun, trivia, pictures of what's going on in your business behind the scenes. If it's the holidays, put an elf on the shelf or a photograph of people's birthdays. About 30% should be useful information. This can be how-tos, not just about your product, but in general in your product category, things people should know about regulations or new ways to use your products and services. And if you do that, if 80% of your content is interesting and fun and informative, you earn the right to spend about 20% of your social media capital simply advertising. And if you want to increase your reach on your organic content, you need to do more than just put it in the timeline. You really need to take advantage of things like tagging, where you can tag customers if they give you permission, or invite them to tag themselves, tag other businesses, tag other entities to make your content visible to those communities. You want to interact. You want to answer questions. You want to like and share content by others. We've done this with a number of our clients. It's called piggybacking. Some of the most popular content on Facebook are those wonderful Tasty videos. Well, we will go to Tasty and we will find one of their videos that we know is really good and is a recipe for that includes beans, because we represent a company that sells beans. And we will share that content on our timeline, suggesting people make the recipe with our beans. We get tremendous reach by using content of others. And we're not pretending that's ours. We're telling people this is a tasty recipe. But it really helps us gain a following and a community, so when we share one of our recipes, they're more likely to be seen. The other thing is that if people are sending you messages through your Facebook page, you really need to find a way to respond quickly. When people ask a question, they're online now, and so I would really recommend that someone in your organization have the messaging app turned on to their phone so that you can respond in a reasonable amount of time when someone asks you, hey, can I do this with your product? Is there someone who can help me? And encourage your staff to share content to their Facebook pages. When people like and share content, it is more likely that Facebook will also include it in the organic timeline. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you need to do to set up your page. Obviously, you need to complete your profile, but your avatar and your cover image, this is what sets the tone for your page. These dimensions will change because Facebook is always tweaking their page, but right now a good cover image is 851 by 315 pixels, and an avatar is a nice square, 180 by 180. This here in the left is the avatar, and this is the cover image. And I'm sure this restaurant thought this was a good idea. But the problem, and we see this a lot, companies put their whole logo, and if you've got a long horizontal logo, it doesn't really work well. Why? Because after somebody likes your page, they're not going to come back to your page over and over again. How are they going to experience your content? Like this in the timeline. And so what they may see this message, but as they're scrolling by, this is not recognizable. So you are going to miss an opportunity to make that very quick impression. Let me give you an example of a restaurant I think is doing it really well. Union 50, they're a local restaurant, and they did two things. Number one, they've got a nice avatar that is very memorable. And number two, their cover image, it's not a picture of their bar or their restaurant. It's a picture of what they sell. You're really getting a sense of, oh, if I go to Union 50, I'm going to have cocktails. And that's what they're known for. So if you do come to the page, that really attractive image just sort of jumps out at you, and you've got great branding. When you see them in your timeline, there's a picture of their bar, but you immediately recognize them because you see the avatar. And your avatar doesn't always have to be your logo. It can be an image of something that you are known for. And here's another example. This is a restaurant called Cafe Patachu. They're known for their sandwiches. So for their cover image, they've got this nice photograph along with the construction barriers that are almost always there because that's just the way it is on that part of town. But there's the sandwich, and the reason they can get away with this is because when you appear in the timeline, the name of your company is right there. You don't have to worry about getting your name shoved in that tiny little box. Nobody can read it anyway, and the sandwich stands out. So what do you do if you do have this sort of horizontal name? Duck's Donuts is a really good example. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, they're trying to cram so much in this little box, and when they look at their Facebook page, it looks just fine, except it doesn't look fine when you see it in the timeline. Now you are really missing the opportunity to make that impression. What I would do if I was them is I would grab just their little duck and I would make him their avatar. He fills the space nicely. There's the name of the company. And sure enough, there he is, and he's way more recognizable in the timeline. So as you're thinking about your cover image and your avatar, think of these examples and look at how can you be more recognizable in the timeline. One other thing to keep in mind. Facebook, for some reason, right now, their algorithm, they will actually show your cover image more often than a regular image. And so it is in your best interest to periodically change your cover image. I wouldn't put a lot of text in there, but something like this in the timeline that's only going to be a cover image for a few weeks works really well. And this will get more exposure than just putting this promotional image in the timeline. So think about updating your cover image about once a month. And don't forget to use your sidebar. You have an opportunity to add all sorts of tabs to your page. Now, people don't come very often, but when they do, if you're in a home service business, you want to have that review tab really high up. If you're in a business that's got lots of photos or videos, make sure you create a separate tab for that. And if you've got an active Pinterest profile, you can now integrate Pinterest with Facebook. So use your sidebar, and you can control what appears on the sidebar and in what order. Simply go into your settings and select Edit Page. And when you do, you can turn tabs on and off, and you can slide these up and down, drag and drop, so that this appears exactly the way you want it to look. Okay, enough of setup. Let's talk about your content. Talk about what you're sharing on Facebook that gets you noticed and gets you, encourages people to follow you and interact with you. You've got lots of choices. You can share photos and videos, run an ad, create an event, special offers, and even write a note. Some basics on just text. This is really hard these days. You used to be able to just put up a simple text update and get noticed. These days, if you don't have some sort of image with your content, it's really hard to get people to pay attention. But you can share links to blogs. I love the trivia and little known tips. If you're a travel agent, something like, did you know that every night the Italian government takes almost 3,000 euros out of the Trevi fountain and donates it to charity? I mean, it's weird, obscure facts, medical mysteries, just things that you know that other people don't know that would make people go, wow, I didn't know that. And then they'll comment and share. Simple motivational quotes, nobody really cares anymore. But these trivia facts really are fun. Fill in the blank. Sometimes if you get right, just the right fill in the blank, people will participate. It needs to be something easy. My favorite holiday food is something they can answer in 1 or 2 words, because remember, a lot of your Facebook community is going to be doing this from their phone. You can ask questions and run contests and take polls. And if you're going to do a question on a regular basis, question of the day, poll of the week, Monday morning trivia tip, whatever it is, use that prefix to let people know this is part of a series, and so they'll build a habit and deliberately look for it every Monday, every Wednesday, every day at 8 a.m. But these days, beyond just your text, you really need to remember that Facebook is a visual medium. And we know that posts with an image will get 120% more engagement than just text. With that kind of data staring you in the face, you really need to be thinking about pictures. And when it comes to pictures, you've got some options. Or when it comes to visuals, you have options. You can do photos, you can do a single photo or multiple photos. You can create videos, and you can create what's called digital content, these sort of graphics with text. Now, Facebook has done a nice job of having those colored boxes now, and you can type text. But if you want to dress it up a little bit more, if you want to have something that's maybe a little bit more interesting looking like this, it's actually really easy to do. There are a lot of different tools that you can use to create graphics, but my favorite is simply PowerPoint. You can create a single individual slide and then do Save as JPEG. And it will ask you, do you want to save the whole presentation or just this slide? And if you say just that slide, you will get one really attractive, perfectly sized graphic that you can use in your content. Best size for images, 1200 pixels wide and 630 tall. Or if you are going to go smaller, keep it in this 2:1 ratio. The other thing that you really need to remember is you need to be aware of the margin. And with that, I mean, this picture was actually perfectly sized, but when I loaded it to Facebook, you see how it cropped off my customer's logo right at the edge? All I needed to do was sort of have in my head a little bit of a margin around that picture so that the company name would have been in a little and up a little, and it would have been perfectly visible on this really cute picture. When you're putting images in your blog posts, you need to be thinking about, is this going to be a status update or an ad? Because Facebook, and I will talk about this again in the advertising section, has some very specific rules about what you can and can't do as far as images for ads. You have limitations as far as how much text you can put in an image. And so if you think that you might want to use this particular image or this post as a boosted post in an ad down the road, then you want to try to go very minimal on the amount of text you actually put in the image. This actually will violate the 20% rule. One of the things that we often do, if we know we want to be able to share it in the timeline and get a little bit of visibility, but then we're also thinking down the road we might want to advertise, we actually create two different versions of the same image. The one on the left we'll use in the timeline for a simple status update, but when we're ready to run an ad for our Getting Started with Email class, we'll use just the picture with the graphic, and we won't violate the 20% rule. What is the 20% rule? Basically, if you divide this that image into fifths, no more than 1/5 or 20% of the surface area can include text. Facebook wants the timeline to look pretty. And you'll notice I say a lot, Facebook wants this and Facebook wants that, and you're thinking, but this is my page. Shouldn't I be allowed to control it? Absolutely. You can put whatever you want on your page, but if you actually want Facebook to share it to a wider audience so it appears in other people's timelines, you need to play by their rules, because at the end of the day, this is their playground. And more is better. Remember I told you that visuals get posts with visuals get 120% more interaction than a regular image? Well, if there are multiple images, you can enjoy up to 180% more engagement than text. And you've got lots of choices. You can create a post that has single images and videos, photo albums, carousels, slideshows, and even the canvas. And I'm going to show you a couple of these. I'm not going to do a lot on the Facebook canvas. That's really a little bit more of an advanced technique. But multiple images, you can create a collage. And all you have to do is upload a few images, and Facebook will actually automatically arrange them. We've seen that, yes, you can put 3 images or 5 images or even more, and you start to get that little plus there. But research shows that you'll get your best interaction with 3. 3 pretty images, people can see all of them. They're likely to click on one or the other. When they see that +5, they're like, ooh, I don't really have time to look at all those images. I'll come back to it later, and of course they never do. Should you do a collage or an album? If this is a one-time topic, you're doing a couple of photos that are unrelated to anything else in your timeline, just put it up as a collage in the timeline. If it's a reoccurring topic, if you are sharing a lot of images over time of the same venue, you might want to build an album. There was a time when Facebook actually would bring you back, like every time, if I liked an album, every time new images were added, I'd be notified. That was a great benefit. They don't really do that anymore, and so there's not really the same reason to create those albums unless you think it's something that over time you're going to want to go back and see all the images. If you have a conference or an event, create an album for the conference and put all of the pictures in there, and so people can go back and find them easily in your timeline, if it's something people are going to come back to. You can also create what's known as a carousel. Carousels are really nice because they've got high click-through. They are designed to drive traffic from Facebook to your website. They're useful when you want to tell a sequential story. If you have 4 pictures of how you do something and you put all 4 pictures in the carousel, and people can kind of sweep through and see the images. And something to keep in mind, if you're going to do carousel, you want to select images that are portrait, not landscape. They really fit better in the carousel. It's really easy to do. You start with selecting the carousel. You could write a little text to describe what you're doing, and then you enter the URL. Facebook will actually pull, if there is a featured image, they'll pull the first image on the page, and then you can add others. They will pull the meta description, and you can change this text, and this goes in your timeline, and people can scroll through and see all the images, and it holds their attention more than just a collage because they literally have to scroll through. Another alternative, and I really like this, if what you're looking to do is build reach and engagement, get people to maybe like your page or just click on your content, it's a really nice way to animate 4 to 6 images and make it more interesting than just a static collage. Think of it like a slideshow, a PowerPoint slideshow on autoplay. You can do 4 to 6 images, and when you do, you don't want to forget your branding. So for example, you pick a handful of images. You can add a little bit of music. Most of the music's kind of dopey, but you can add a little music. Most people are going to see it in their timeline with the volume turned off anyway. You can have rapid transitions, 1, 3, 5 seconds between images, and you can either have them just pop from image to image or fade. You can upload the images and you can drag and drop the order in which the images appear. And then when it's ready to post, you put a little bit of text. There's your video. If I see this in my timeline, I'm going to quickly see all of these images rotating through. It's a really nice way to get a little bit of movement. If you don't want to produce a video, it's a really nice way to almost create a video. Before I go to Facebook Live, I did mention the canvas, and I don't have an example of how you put it here together today. The thing with Facebook canvases is they only work on mobile. So if you have a community that is mostly desktop, it's not worth doing. And they're kind of time consuming, but it is a nice way to build an integrated presentation with images and video. And while I'm on the subject of video, Facebook envisions themselves becoming the next YouTube. They are trying really hard to build a community of people who are creating video content that is specific to Facebook. And the easiest way to do that is simply to use Facebook Live. When you turn on your app, you can push the button for uploading a video or uploading a photo or simply going to Facebook Live. If you're going to do this, promote it before you broadcast. Let people know, hey, I'm going to be live in 15 minutes or 20. Prepare and practice. Live does not mean sloppy. Set the phone in airplane mode. Shoot a couple of seconds of video before you get started, and then look at it and make sure that the lighting is good and that there's nothing distracting in the background. Why set the phone in airplane mode? You don't want an incoming call interrupting your video if you're shooting it from your phone and not your desktop. Make it personal, make it fun. This is not a stuffy corporate video. This is a in the moment. This is what's going on. And then optimize the recording. Even once live is over, you can promote the video in your timeline and share it as a post. And for most businesses, they will get way more traffic and interaction on the video after it's done than when it was actually going on live. And take the time to analyze your results. Figure out what's working and what's not. And these days, Facebook is really doing a lot to encourage people to shoot video. And there are so many tools out there that will allow you to create a quick 15-second video. The benefit of these videos is, number one, they're short and they appear in the timeline. And number two, if you do use them as a boost, you can actually insert them pay to have them inserted into longer other videos on Facebook. Here's an example. As you can see, it's really short. There's a cute picture of the little girl dancing, and then you get just a little text, close with the logo. These are, again, they're really inexpensive to create, and they are highly engaging and a lot more interesting than a single image. Facebook also has something called the Note. I think they're trying to compete with the LinkedIn blogging platform. So far, I'm not impressed. You could create a complete blog post and you can post it on Facebook, but the odds that anyone will see it are slim to none. You can use it to link to other content. We did this with some of our clients where we put a portion of their blog post in the note, and then we linked to the rest of the information on the website. The challenge is that Boost is not available for your notes. So if you really want someone to read this information and you want to boost it, you're better off writing the blog post, just taking the graphic to Facebook, and then buying an ad to drive the traffic. I think Facebook is going to continue to expand this platform, and I'll be curious to see what changes come about. But so far, I'm not all that impressed. Okay, planning and metrics. If you're going to do this, it shouldn't be random. Take some time once a week and sort of brainstorm your content. Sure, things will happen in the moment and you'll want to share a random photo or something fun and lively, but plan it out. And think about the 20-30-50 rule, the 50% fun, engagement-oriented, 30% tips and facts, and 20% actively sale-oriented. And work through this every week as you plan out what's going on next week. What do we want people to be interacting with? Remember that Facebook, and really all social media, is only one part of your marketing equation. The purpose of these platforms are to help you find new prospects and drive them to your website and your email newsletter, and then use other tools to stay in touch and stay engaged with your audience on an ongoing basis. We know for a fact that an offer on Facebook and an offer in an email newsletter, the same offer will typically generate about 3 times as many results from an email. Why? Because when that email opens in my inbox, at least for a few seconds, you have my complete and undivided attention. You're not competing with cat videos and pictures of people's grandkids and political information. For just that moment, it is an intimate one-on-one conversation with a customer, and you don't want to miss out on that. And use Facebook metrics to tell you what kind of posts are doing well. Do people like video, links, and photos? And you can study by week, by month, all the content you've shared and see what had really great reach. And more than just reach, what had good engagement? What really got people to click or to like or to share? You want to look at your engagement metrics and see, are you adding? Are you getting more likes? Are you getting comments and shares? And you can see, again, both in this format and then jumping back and saying, okay, we had a lot of good interaction on October 26th. Well, what did we share? Oh, this post on October 26th. So it drove 147 likes, and it got great impressions and engagement. And you can actually click on this to see the original post. So you can really look at the data and go, wow, whatever we did here didn't work. This worked really well. We need to do more of this. You can look at who's engaging with your content. You can look and see if it's more men or women. And you can look and see, is it your fans or is it just the wider community? If you're marketing internationally, you can also see where your customers or where your visitors are coming from. Who are they and what are they sharing? This was really interesting when we looked at it for this particular client. In general, men were more engaged and men were more likely to engage with content even if they're not fans. See, only this much were fans. These guys were more likely to engage. Conversely, women typically became fans, and it was the fans that stayed engaged. So you can really see who's clicking. Is it more men or women? In this particular time period, we were actually being much more effective at reaching, or a little more effective at reaching men rather than women. And this really surprised me because I think this particular slide is data from my website. And remember, we're a woman-owned business. I would have assumed more of my friends would have been fans and engaging with my content. And you can also tell when your fans are online. I wouldn't spend a lot of time looking at this chart because, quite honestly, almost every business we've ever worked with has this pattern that I call the humpback whale. People are active in the late evening, they drop off, they go to sleep, they get active, they stay active, and then they drop off again at bedtime. Now, if you notice something out of the ordinary, if you notice something that it doesn't look like this, that may give you some clues as to when you need to be active online. And lastly, I want to talk about advertising because Facebook, although they started out as a social media community, they are an advertising platform. This was from the third quarter earnings report for Facebook. Look at the green and look at the blue. The vast majority of Facebook's revenue is coming from advertising. And so no matter what they may say they want to do, they're paying their bills by they're paying their bills by selling you advertising. And if you want your content to reach a wider audience in 2018, you need to be thinking about spending a little bit of money on advertising. It doesn't have to be a lot. A $50 or $100 boost every month on your best content will really help you reach that wider audience. And there's a lot that you can do with ads, but you need to decide up front. Do you want people to come to your website, sign up for your newsletter, download content, register for events, schedule appointments? Start with your objective. And then select, yes, I want to add. And Facebook's tool is really designed to walk even the novice through creating an ad. You can advertise your business. Do you want people to collect your Learn More button, or are you trying to drive people to your website? When you select Promote Your Website, it's going to default to whatever your URL is for your website. And you'll notice it pulled up my home page, the description, and we're ready to go, except this isn't really what I want my ad to look like. And so I can start changing the ad. I can add a little bit of text to define, again, what I want people to do. And then we actually decided we didn't want to run the ad for our homepage. We really wanted to drive people to a specific class. So you can change the URL. You can change the text. And now we've got a new image and a more aggressive ad. I can set my headline. It says, Shape Up My Marketing. And I can change the text of that button as well. And here you can see all the different choices that I can use. Book now, donate, apply, shop, see, watch more. Now that I've got my ad just the way I want it, I need to pick my audience. I need to think about, who do I want to see this ad? And you've got lots of choices. I only want people who are fans of my page to see the ad. Or I don't want my fans to see the ad because I already have them. I want friends of my fans. I can create a custom audience. I want everybody who lives in this geographic territory between this age and this age interested in I only want men, I only want women, I am interested in people who are interested in gardening or fishing or cooking to see this ad. Facebook knows so much about us. It's really, in a way, a little creepy, but they can use that information to make sure your ad is put in front of people who are most likely to want to buy your product or service. And you can clone your email list. You can actually upload a list of people who you are communicating with regularly. Facebook will look at all those email addresses and decide which ones of those people are already on Facebook and try to match them to your list. And then you can say, I want people who are on my email list to see my ad, or I want people like them, their friends, their family, to see the ad. If you're selling a product that is geographically based, if you're a plumbing company or a local restaurant, this is a really powerful way to get introduced to the friends and neighbors of people who already love you. And here's where you can begin selecting that audience. And you can target by area, by state, by city, by zip code, by age, by gender, and all the things we just talked about. And then you have to set your budget. And you've got a lot of decisions to make. Do you want to run the promotion on Instagram? Honestly, a lot of my clients don't belong on Instagram, and the ads are going to be ignored, and so I don't encourage them to do that. Make sure you set a daily budget and a timeline. How long do you want this ad to run? 7, 14, 28 days. Facebook will tell you, based on your audience and based on the amount of money you're willing to spend every day, here's how many clicks you can get, how many you can expect. And then you have to choose. Do I just want it to run on desktop? Do I just want it to run on mobile? And do I want it to run in Instagram? Again, if you don't have a really strong Instagram presence, if you aren't really active there, don't bother and keep it focused on desktop and mobile. If you're looking for click-throughs to your website, if you want people to read your content, take a survey, interact in a way that's going to require a little bit more time, then just go desktop and skip the mobile. If it's just a quick ad and you just want them to like your page after they're done, you definitely can do both. And when you're all done and you hit save, you may get an error message. Facebook will tell you if you've done something in the ad that's not going to work well. In this instance, this was an ad that we did, and we violated that 20% rule. And so Facebook went, no, no, no. And I appreciated that because I can either request a manual review or I can go back and make changes before I spend any money. And then you've got to track the results. On the front end, you decided what you wanted as an outcome from your campaign. When you're done, you've got to look at it and go, did we get what we were looking for? These are two different ads that we ran for a client. We spent a total, as you can see, of $141. It's not really very much. The first ad resulted in 351 link clicks. That's 350 people that left Facebook and went to the website. We reached 5,000 people. So about 8%, 9% of the audience clicked through. Impressions, 7,295 impressions. What that means, if you do the math, is that we had some people who saw the ad more than once. We spent 19 cents per click. Frequency here shows me 1.33. That means the average person, on average, people saw it 1.3 times. So some people saw it once, some people saw it twice. We had 251 unique clicks. So a lot of people clicked once and then actually clicked again later to come back because this took them to a cookbook that they needed to download. And because we shared this content, we actually got 3 new fans. And that was the objective for that ad. We wanted people to come to our website. But then we ran another ad. And the ad, in this case, we wanted more Facebook fans because we know if we have more fans, then when we put organic content in the timeline, people are likely to see it. Even if only 10% of our fans see the content, if we have 500 fans, that means 50 people will see it. If we have 2,500 fans, that means 250 people will see it. And so we periodically will spend money just to get people to like our page. This ad, we got almost 200 people to like the page. We spent 38 cents a like. In general, people saw it only about one time. But look at the numbers here. About 3,000 people were reached. And again, about 8% of them took action. That's really cool. And you'll notice it's more expensive to get likes than it is to get people to click through your website. And did it work? Well, we got 198 likes. So as we step back and look at these 2 campaigns, we spent $150, well, $141. On average, we reached a lot of people once, a few people more than once. We had 250 people come to the website, and we can actually track from our website then how many of those people actually filled out the form to download the cookbook, and it was actually, I think, about 100 of the 250. And we picked up a total of 200 new fans. So we were really happy with these 2 campaigns, and we will compare this with other campaigns that we run over time and look, can we do better? What makes people more likely to interact? And look at it over time, and the objective is obviously to keep fine-tuning these results. We'll look at different audiences. We'll look at different creative and see which ones really delivered the best results. Okay, we whipped through a lot of information. We whipped through conversations on Facebook ads. We took a look at things that you needed to keep in mind when you were scheduling your posts, when you were laying out your information. Now, if you've got any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask them or reach out. And if you think that you need more help to get ready for Facebook in 2018, give us a call. We'd love to help you.